Well, let's speak now to the Deputy Leader of Reform UK, Richard Tice. Richard, thanks indeed for joining us on the programme. Reform has posited something fairly serious in the last 24 hours, that the Chancellor may well have misled the House of Commons.
Well, Nigel has written to the ethics advisor because it's quite clear that the Chancellor has misled definitely the British people. And there are serious questions as to whether or not she's complied with the ministerial code. I've also written to the Prime Minister. I've said that essentially she's presided over a complete and utter car crash, a number of car crashes in the run-up to the budget and the budget itself. Confidence is shattered. And I don't know what delusional world the Prime Minister is living in with his speech today. I mean, the growth forecasts over the next 3 years after this year have all been downgraded significantly. And the borrowing numbers this year alone have been increased by 21 billion in this budget compared to the ABR's forecast just back in March, and a further 40 billion in the subsequent 3 years. Those are directly opposite to what the Prime Minister has told the British people in this press conference. He's deluded or incompetent or deliberately doing what the Chancellor did, which is misleading the British people.
There's also just some very interesting research out this morning on the scrapping of the two-child benefit cap. It shows that a person with 3 children who's not working could be earning the equivalent of a take-home pay of someone on £71,000. That is obviously an insane state of affairs. Reform has been talking about the alarm clock generation, people who should be getting up to go to work and aren't. But Reform also backs scrapping that two-child benefit cap. How could we be sure that under a Reform government we wouldn't see the same sort of ballooning welfare benefits bill?
Because you need to get your facts right, because we have put very strict conditionality. We've said that it's lifting the cap is just for working parents on low incomes. That's the key difference. British citizens, ours would cost about 300 million. We've got a demographic crisis amongst British-born people in terms of the birth rate. And that's what we're saying. And by doing that, you reduce the sort of obsession with immigration from so many in the sort of the establishment class. So ours is a very carefully prescribed adjustment in order to prevent a situation. For example, you could be working, let's say you're working in the steel industry and you've got 3 children, you lose your jobs because of net stupid zero. All of a sudden, you could be a victim of that cap. That is not fair. That's what we're trying to correct. We've been misrepresented. Fine, that's the nature of politics. We'll just keep communicating it better and better, hopefully.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
So to be abundantly clear, though, did you say it was for people in work, or would it also be for people out of work?
No, it's for people in work on modest or low incomes.
Because someone who loses their job in the steels industry then wouldn't be eligible.
No, they would, because they've been working. That's the whole point. And we would specify the legislation accordingly to help those people. So it's to capture those who have a track record of working. The clue is in the name, work. And that is a very good thing. And we need to protect those on low incomes in work who are doing the right thing.
And you're talking about people who have recently come out of work, and I see where you're coming from there. But what we've seen under this government is that people come out of work, they go on to benefits, and then they stay on benefits for a long time. So would a reformed government make sure that that person, say, in the steel industry, who's lost their job, who goes on to benefits, taking benefits for their children, fair enough, they've just lost their job, but how long would they be on benefits for?
Exactly, and that's the specific detail which we need to work all the way through to get that right, because there's a sort of a motivational aspect to making work pay. That's why our aspiration, as the finances allow, once we cut the vast amount of wasteful spending, particularly in and around welfare, for example, and multiple other areas, so that we can then start lifting the income tax threshold to ensure that work pays for more people. That's the problem at the moment, is too many people are trapped in welfare where it only pays to go to work for 16 hours a week.
To get back to the start of this interview, you said that the Prime Minister is talking about borrowing coming down, and that is clearly nonsense because borrowing is going up. Could two things be true at the same time? In that borrowing today is higher than it was yesterday before the budget. In fact, for the first 3 years of the budget period, borrowing is higher. But because of the effects of fiscal drag and the frozen thresholds, the tax take rises year and year and year as more people earn more money. By the final year of the forecast, borrowing is down, according to the OBR, which could be what the Prime Minister's talking about, relative to where it was before.
It's not. I've got it right in front of me. Table 6.1 of the OBR's report. I flagged it in my speech last week to the Minister, who simply didn't understand. And within the next 4 years, there is an extra £63 billion of borrowing forecast over and above the March forecast. And in the fifth year, big deal, they get $6 billion better off. Net, that's 57 worse off over a 5-year period. I know my facts. I'm bang on the money.
Absolutely.
I'm reading it in front of you as I speak. The Prime Minister is lying to the British people, and it's a disgrace.
You are talking about the debt. The Prime Minister is talking about the deficit. I think that's the difference. He's talking about an annual figure. You're talking about a cumulative figure.
No. The Prime Minister said today, he said he was cutting borrowing. These numbers prove that they are not. They are increasing borrowing. Borrowing is when you borrow money from somebody, right? You owe it back to them.
But this is a debt versus deficit discussion.
Well, he used the word borrowing, and I'm using the word borrowing. They are crystal clear. I'm in the right, he's in the wrong.
You could both be in the right.
No, you can't. You can't be borrowing more and less and both be right at the same time.
Well, you could, because if you cut the deficit, you're borrowing more cumulatively, but you're borrowing less on an annual basis.
The Prime Minister said he was cutting borrowing. He's not. He's increasing borrowing relative to the forecast in March. And just to remind everybody, that number in March was tens of billions higher than was anticipated when this new government won the general election.
Thank you very much, Richard Tice. Interesting to hear Tom in the role of the diplomat there. Both of you could be right. Never. I
just want to make everyone happy.
Classic Tom Harmon.